The Godfather Trilogy, the definitive story behind cinema's greatest crime saga. Few films have achieved the legendary status of the Godfather Trilogy. More than 50 years after the release of the first film in 1972, the series remains a benchmark for filmmaking, storytelling, acting, cinematography, and character development. Adapted from Mario Puzo's best-selling novel, The Godfather transformed what could have been a conventional gangster movie into an epic Shakespearean tragedy about power, family, morality, and the corruption that accompanies absolute authority. Directed by Francis Ford Coppola, the trilogy follows the rise and fall of the Corleone crime family across several decades. While the films are centered on organized crime, their true subject is family, loyalty, ambition, immigration, the American dream, and the price of power. Today, The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2 consistently rank among the greatest films ever made, influencing generations of filmmakers from Martin Scorsese and Quentin Tarantino to Christopher Nolan and Denis Villeneuve. The birth of The Godfather. In 1969, novelist Mario Puzo published The Godfather. Ironically, Puzo had never been involved with organized crime. He wrote the novel largely because he was in debt and believed a crime novel would sell well. The book became an international bestseller almost immediately. Paramount Pictures quickly purchased the film rights before the novel had even reached its peak popularity. Initially, the studio envisioned the film as a relatively inexpensive gangster picture. Nobody expected it to become one of the greatest films ever made. Francis Ford Coppola, the reluctant director. One of Hollywood's greatest ironies is that Francis Ford Coppola did not initially want to direct The Godfather. At the time, Coppola was a young filmmaker struggling financially. As the son of Italian immigrants, he worried that making a mafia film would reinforce negative stereotypes about Italian Americans. He accepted the project primarily because he needed money to keep his independent production company alive. Once involved, however, Coppola completely transformed the screenplay. Instead of making a straightforward gangster movie, he turned it into a grand family drama inspired by Shakespeare's King Lear and the tragic structure of classical literature. His insistence on authenticity, including Italian language, Sicilian culture, period detail, and realistic family dynamics, created the timeless atmosphere that defines the films today. The story. At the center of the trilogy is the Corleone family. Don Vito Corleone serves as the respected patriarch of one of New York's 5 families. Unlike many crime bosses, Vito prefers diplomacy over violence, believing that respect is more valuable than fear. His youngest son, Michael Corleone, initially rejects the family's criminal empire. A decorated World War II hero, Michael hopes to build an honest life away from organized crime. However, after an assassination attempt against his father, Michael is gradually pulled into the violent world he once despised. The trilogy chronicles Michael's transformation from reluctant outsider into perhaps the most ruthless mafia leader in American cinema. The cast. Marlon Brando as Don Vito Corleone. Marlon Brando delivered one of cinema's most iconic performances. Interestingly, Paramount executives originally refused to cast him. By the early 1970s, Brando had earned a reputation for being difficult, expensive, and unreliable. The studio considered him box office poison. To convince executives, Brando secretly filmed a screen test in his own home. He stuffed cotton in his cheeks to create the bulldog-like appearance of Vito Corleone, slicked back his hair, lowered his voice, and transformed himself before the camera. Studio executives were astonished. The audition remains one of the most famous self-made screen tests in Hollywood history. Al Pacino as Michael Corleone. Perhaps no casting decision faced more resistance than Al Pacino. At the time, Pacino was virtually unknown. Paramount executives wanted established stars like Robert Redford, Ryan O'Neal, Warren Beatty, or even Jack Nicholson. Coppola insisted that Pacino alone possessed the quiet intelligence and emotional depth needed for Michael. Even after filming began, studio executives repeatedly demanded that Pacino be fired because they believed he lacked charisma. Fortunately, Coppola refused. Today, Michael Corleone is widely considered one of the greatest performances ever captured on film. James Caan. James Caan portrayed Sonny Corleone with explosive energy. Although remembered for his violent temper, Caan reportedly spent considerable time observing real mob figures to understand how respected criminals behaved privately around family members. Robert Duvall. Robert Duvall played Tom Hagen, the adopted son and family lawyer. Unlike the other brothers, Tom is not Italian. His outsider status subtly influences many family dynamics throughout the trilogy. Diane Keaton. Diane Keaton portrayed Kay Adams, Michael's wife. Kay serves as the audience's moral perspective. As Michael becomes increasingly ruthless, Kay represents the normal American life he abandons forever. Gordon Willis, the Prince of Darkness. One of the trilogy's greatest artistic achievements comes from cinematographer Gordon Willis. He became known as the Prince of Darkness because of his revolutionary lighting techniques. Rather than brightly illuminating actors, Willis intentionally placed many characters in shadows. Don Corleone's eyes are often hidden beneath darkness. This visual choice symbolized mystery, authority, and moral ambiguity. Many executives initially believed the film was underexposed and nearly demanded that scenes be red-hot. Instead, Willis's style permanently changed cinematography. Nino Rota's music. Composer Nino Rota created one of cinema's most recognizable musical themes. The haunting trumpet melody evokes nostalgia, family, loss, and tragedy all at once. Ironically, the score was initially disqualified from Academy Award consideration because portions had appeared in an earlier Italian film. The Godfather Part II. Released in 1974, The Godfather Part II accomplished something previously considered impossible. It surpassed the original in the eyes of many critics. The film tells two parallel stories. One follows young Vito Corleone's rise from Sicilian immigrant to powerful crime boss. The other follows Michael's descent into paranoia, betrayal, and isolation. Robert De Niro portrayed young Vito. Remarkably, De Niro learned the Sicilian dialect specifically for the role. Much of his dialogue is spoken almost entirely in Sicilian rather than English. The Godfather Part III. Released 16 years later in 1990, the third installment remains the trilogy's most controversial chapter. Rather than depicting Michael at the height of power, Coppola presents an aging man desperately attempting redemption. Many critics initially dismissed the film, but modern reassessments have become increasingly favorable. In 2020, Coppola released a revised version titled The Godfather Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone, restructuring scenes and altering the ending to better reflect his original intentions. Lesser-known facts about The Godfather. 1. The cat wasn't planned. The cat sitting in Don Corleone's lap during the opening scene was a stray wandering around the studio. Coppola picked it up moments before filming. Because the cat purred so loudly, parts of Brando's dialogue required additional sound work. 2. The famous orange symbolism. Throughout the trilogy, oranges frequently appear shortly before death or violence. Examples include Vito buying oranges before being shot, Don Fanucci carrying oranges, Michael receiving oranges before key moments. Although fans view this as deliberate symbolism, Coppola later suggested it began largely as a visual coincidence before becoming a recurring motif. 3. The horse head was real. The infamous horse head scene used the actual severed head of a horse obtained from a pet food company. The actor playing Jack Woltz reportedly had no idea the real prop would be used. His horrified reaction is almost entirely genuine. 4. Leave the gun. Take the cannoli. One of the trilogy's most famous lines was partially improvised. The script originally included only, "Leave the gun." Actor Richard Castellano added, "Take the cannoli," referencing an earlier conversation with his wife. The line perfectly captures the film's blend of brutality and domestic normality. 5. Pacino was almost fired. Studio executives remained dissatisfied with Al Pacino through much of production. Only after Michael kills Sollozzo and McCluskey did executives finally acknowledge Coppola had chosen correctly. 6. Coppola was nearly fired multiple times. During production, Paramount considered replacing Coppola several times. Only the enormous success of the filmed footage convinced executives to keep him. 7. Brando refused his Oscar. Brando won the Academy Award for Best Actor. Instead of attending, he sent Native American activist Sachin Littlefeather to decline the award in protest of Hollywood's treatment of Native Americans. The moment became one of Oscar history's most discussed events. 8. Real Mafia members visited the set. Numerous individuals connected to organized crime reportedly visited production during filming. Some offered suggestions about etiquette, clothing, and authentic behavior. This contributed to the film's extraordinary realism. 9. I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse. This line has become one of the most quoted in film history. Remarkably, it appears only once exactly as remembered. Many viewers assume it is repeated multiple times. 10. The word "mafia" was restricted. The Italian-American Civil Rights League negotiated with Paramount to avoid repeated use of the words "mafia" and "cosa nostra." As a result, those terms are almost entirely absent from the original film. Themes that made the films timeless. Unlike conventional gangster movies, The Godfather explores universal human themes. Family. Every major decision stems from protecting, or betraying, the family. Power. Power corrupts gradually rather than instantly. Michael's moral decline unfolds over decades. Loyalty. Characters constantly choose between personal morality and loyalty to family. The American Dream. The Corleones achieve wealth and influence while sacrificing innocence and humanity. Tragedy. Michael ultimately gains everything he desired but loses nearly everyone he loves. The influence of The Godfather extends far beyond cinema. Its dialogue, music, cinematography, and storytelling have entered popular culture around the world. The trilogy inspired countless films, television series, novels, and even business literature analyzing leadership, negotiation, and organizational power. The Godfather Part 2 became the first sequel ever to win the Academy Award for Best Picture, proving that sequels could equal, or even surpass, their predecessors in artistic achievement. More than 5 decades after its debut, the trilogy remains essential viewing not because it glamorizes crime, but because it presents a profound meditation on ambition, family, identity, and the moral cost of power. At its heart, The Godfather is less a story about gangsters than a timeless tragedy about how the pursuit of control can ultimately destroy the very people and values one seeks to protect. We hope you have enjoyed watching the video. Thank you for watching.